Chapter 11. Coming home. Mara walks slowly, consciousness returning in fragments. Warmth, softness, the distant hum of the city, pain everywhere but dulled manageable, like her body had remembered how to hurt but forgotten why it mattered. She opened her eyes. Liana was still there, curled in the chair beside the bed, silver hair catching the morning light streaming through the window. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, lines of tension around her mouth. Even in sleep, she changed clothes at some point. A simple black tank top, soft cotton pants, comfortable, like she planned to stay. Mara's chest tightened. How long had Liana been sitting there? All night, watching her sleep, making sure she kept breathing, ready to catch her. She started falling apart again. Was staring, Liana murmured, not opening her eyes. You're awake. Have been for a while. Liana's eyes opened, and the relief in them was almost painful to witness. You kept making these little noises, like you were dreaming. I was worried you'd... Her voice cracked. I was worried. I'm okay. You're a terrible liar. But Liana smiled, small and fragile. How do you feel? Mara took inventory. Her body ached, muscles she'd forgotten existed screaming protests with every breath. The cuts from Jin's bone spikes had been bandaged, professionally, probably by someone with actual medical training. Her ribs were wrapped. Her shoulder throbbed with a deep, bone-deep pain that suggested she'd done some real damage. But she was alive, whole, human, like I'd been hit by a truck, Mara said finally. But I felt worse. When? That time you broke up with me. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Too honest, too raw, the kind of thing you said when you were still half asleep and your filters hadn't caught up with your mouth. Liana's expression crumbled. Mara, I'm sorry. Mara tried to sit up, winced as her ribs protested. I didn't mean... No. Liana was out of the chair, moving to the bed, her hands gentle as she helped Mara adjust the pillows. Get comfortable. Don't apologize. You're right. I did that. I broke us. And she sat on the edge of the bed, close enough that Mara could feel her warmth. I've regretted it every single day since. You had to. Your family. My family doesn't get to decide who I love. Liana's voice was fierce now, the vulnerability giving way to something harder. They don't get to tell me what my heart is worth, or who it belongs to. She took Mara's hand, careful of the bandages, her thumb tracing gentle circles on Mara's palm. I should have fought for us, for you. Instead I ran. I let them convince me that duty mattered more than what? Than everything. Liana's eyes were bright with unshed tears. You were everything, Mara. You are everything, and I was so scared of what that meant, what I'd have to give up, what they'd do to you if I chose wrong. She laughed, broken and bitter. And then yesterday, watching you fight, seeing you bleeding and hurt and so fucking stubborn, the tears spilled over. I realized that being apart from you was worse than anything they could do, that I'd already lost everything that mattered when I let you go. Mara's throat closed. She couldn't speak, could barely breathe around the weight of what Liana was saying. I love you, Liana whispered. I never stopped. Not for a second. Not even when I tried to convince myself it was the right thing to do. You were in every thought, every dream, every quiet moment. When I let my guard down, she brought Mara's hand to her lips, kissed her knuckles softly. I love you, and I'm not letting you go again. I don't care what my family says. I don't care about tradition or duty or bloodlines. Her voice broke completely. I just want you, if you'll still have me. The silence stretched between them, heavy with a year of pain and longing and words left unsaid. Then Mara pulled her hand free, Liana's face falling, preparing for rejection, and pepped Liana's face instead, thumbs brushing away tears, drawing her close until their foreheads touched. You're an idiot, Mara whispered. I know. A beautiful, stubborn, infuriating idiot. I know. And I love you too. Mara closed the distance, kissing her softly, gently, like Liana was something precious and breakable. I never stopped either. Liana made a sound half sob, half laugh, and kissed her back. Desperate and relieved and tasting of salt, her hands found Mara's face, careful not to press too hard, mindful of the bruises and cuts, like Mara was something that might shatter if handled wrong. They pulled apart just enough to breathe. Liana's eyes were red, her cheeks wet, but she was smiling, really smiling, the kind of smile that made Mara's chest ache with how much she'd missed it. I should let you rest, Liana said, even as her hands stayed on Mara's face, thumbs tracing the line of her jaw. You need to heal, the doctor said. I don't care what the doctor said. Mara, a year. Mara's voice came out rough. A year of pretending I was okay, of convincing myself I could move on. that I didn't need you. She caught Liana's wrist, held her there. I almost died yesterday, and all I could think about the whole time, even when Jin was tearing me apart, was that I might never get to tell you how much I missed you, how much it hurt to lose you, how much Liana kissed her again, harder this time, all the desperation and fear and relief pouring into it. Mara's hands found Liana's waist, pulled her closer, and Liana went willingly, carefully straddling Mara's lap. Mindful of her injuries, her weight settling in a way that felt like coming home. Tell me if I hurt you. Liana breathed against her lips. You won't. Mara, you won't hurt me. Mara pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. Not like this. Never like this. Liana's expression softened. Then she kissed her again, and this time it was slow. Thorough, taking her time, like they had all the time in the world, and she wanted to memorize every moment. Her hands traced down Mara's shoulders, careful of the bandages, following the line of her arms, until their fingers laced together. Mara's breath itched. The pain was still the ribs protesting, shoulder throbbing, but it didn't matter. Nothing mattered except this. Liana in her arms, warm and real, and here, the taste of her, the soft sound she made when Mara's tongue traced her bottom lip, the way her pulse jumped under Mara's fingertips when she touched the side of her neck. They'd done this before, 100 times, maybe more. Late nights in Mara's apartment, stolen moments in the back of Liana's car, that one perfect weekend when they'd pretended the rest of the world didn't exist. Mara knew Liana's body, like she knew her own every sensitive spot, every place that made her gas, every tell that said she wanted more. But this felt different, weighted with everything they'd lost and found again, with the fear of yesterday and the fragile hope of right now. Liana's hands found the hem of Mara's hospital gown, because that's what she was wearing, she realized distantly. Some soft cotton thing that barely counted as clothing. Her fingers hesitated there, a question in the touch. Yes, Mara breathed. Please. You're hurt. I don't care. Mara caught Liana's face, made her look. I need. She couldn't finish, didn't have words for the ache in her chest, the desperate need to feel something other than pain, to remember what it was like to be touched with gentleness instead of violence. Liana understood. She always understood. She lifted the gown carefully, slowly, taking for protests. Mara raised her arms despite the sharp pain in her shoulder, helped her pull it off, and then she was bare from the waist up, bandages covering most of her torso, bruises blooming purple then yellow across her skin. Liana's expression went stricken. Oh, Mara, I know, I'm a mess. You're beautiful. Liana's fingers traced the edges of the bandages, so gentle Mara barely felt it. You're always beautiful, but this, her voice broke. I should have stopped it, should have told them to go to hell, should have. Hey, Mara caught her hand, brought it to her lips. I chose this. Me, not you. I needed to prove. She stopped. I needed to know I could stand beside you, that I was strong enough. You've always been strong enough. Not like this. Mara pressed Liana's palm to her chest, over her heart. I needed to know I could protect what's mine, that I could fight for us the way you fought for me yesterday. I didn't. You came back. Mara's voice cracked. After a year, after everything, you came back. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen. Liana's tears started again, but she was smiling through them. We're a mess. Yay. Mara pulled her down, kissed her softly. We really are. They stayed like that for a long moment, just breathing together, foreheads pressed close. Liana's weight settled more fully onto Mara's lap, and Mara's hands found her waist, slipped under the hem of her tank top to trace the smooth skin there. Liana shivered at the touch, her breath catching. Cold? Mara murmured against her lips. No. Liana's hands slid into Mara's hair, careful of the bruises on her scalp. The opposite. Mara smiled, kissed her again, let her hands wander higher, tracing the curve of Liana's ribs, the line of her spine, relearning the map of her body, finding all the places that made her arch and gasp and press closer. Liana's hands weren't idle either. They traced down Mara's shoulders, followed the edges of bandages, found the unmarked skin of her sides and hips. Every touch was careful, reverent, like Mara was something precious that might break. I'm not made of glass, Mara breathed. You almost died yesterday. But I didn't. Mara caught Liana's bottom lip between her teeth, gentle, then soothed it with her tongue. I'm here. I'm alive, and I need. She pulled back, met Liana's eyes. I need to feel alive. With you, please. Liana's pupils dilated, her breathing quickened, and she nodded, leaned down, and kissed Mara like she was trying to consume her. Deep and desperate and full of a year's worth of longing, Mara met her halfway, hands sliding up to cup Liana's face. angling her head for better access. Liana's weight settled more fully on her hips, pressing down in a way that made Mara's breath stutter. The pain was still the ribs screaming, shoulder throbbing, but it didn't matter. Everything narrowed down to this. To them, to the heat building between them. Liana's hands found the waistband of Mara's hospital pants, loose cotton, that barely stayed up, and Mara lifted her hips to help. The movement made her ribs protest sharply, a gasp escaping before she could stop it. Liana froze. "We should stop. You're hurt. I shouldn't have. Don't you dare." Mara's voice came out rough, layered with need. "Don't you dare stop now. Mara, I need this." Mara pulled her down, kissed her heart. "I need you. Please. I've spent a year without you and I won't." Her voice broke. "Please." Liana's expression crumbled. Then she kissed her again, softer this time, and her hands resumed their exploration. Gentler now, more careful, but no less determined. The pants came off. Liana's tank top followed, then her own pants, until they were skin to skin, careful of bandages and bruises, finding ways to touch that didn't hurt. That felt good. That felt right. Liana's mouth found Mara's neck, kissing and tasting, her teeth grazing the sensitive spot just below her ear that always made Mara shiver. Her hands traced patterns on Mara's sides, her hips, her thighs, learning what made her gasp, what made her arch, what made her forget about the pain and remember only pleasure. Mara's own hands went idle. They traced the curve of Liana's spine, the dip of her lower back, the swell of her hips, pulled her closer until there was no space between them, until every breath was shed, every touch electric. "I love you," Liana whispered against her throat. "I love you so much." "Show me," Mara breathed, and Liana did. Her mouth traced a path down Mara's neck, across her collarbone, careful of the bandages. Her hands followed, mapping territory she claimed a year ago and was now reclaiming. Every touch was worship, every kiss a promise. Mara's head fell back against the pillows, her hands tangling in Liana's silver hair. The pain was still there, would probably be there for days, but it was distant now, drowned out by the sensation of Liana's mouth on her skin. Her hands everywhere, her weight a perfect pressure. "Tell me what you need," Liana murmured against her skin. "You." Mara's voice was wrapped. "Just you." Liana lifted her head, met her eyes. The love there was devastating, absolute, the kind of love that broke you apart and put you back together stronger. Then she smiled soft and wicked, and her hands moved with purpose, touching, exploring, remembering. Mara's breath came faster, her body responding to every caress, every gentle press of fingers, every whispered word of love against her skin. Time became fluid. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes into something unmeasurable. There was only sensation, Liana's touch, her warmth, the building heat between them. The world narrowed to just this, just them, just the desperate need to be close after so long apart. Liana's mouth found hers again, swallowing her gasps as her hands continued a careful exploration. Mara clung to her, fingers digging into her shoulders, her back, anywhere she could reach. The pain in her ribs was background noise now, completely overshadowed by the pleasure building through her. "Liana," she gasped against her lips. "I know." Liana's voice was rough with her own desire. "I've got you." And she did. Her touch became more focused, more deliberate, finding the rhythm that Mara needed. Their bodies moved together, finding patterns they learned a year ago, relearning them now with desperate intensity. Mara felt herself climbing towards something, that familiar edge approaching. Her breath came in short gasps, her body tensing despite her injuries. Liana's name fell from her lips like a prayer, over and over. "Let go," Liana whispered against her ear. "I've got you. Let go." And Mara did. The pleasure crashed through her in waves, stealing her breath, making her forget everything except this moment, this feeling, this woman who held her like she was precious. She clung to Liana, riding it out, feeling like she was falling apart and being put back together all at once. Liana held her through it, murmuring words of love and praise, her touch gentling but never stopping. When Mara finally came back to herself, trembling and breathless, Liana was there, kissing her softly, brushing hair from her face. "Your turn," Mara managed, her voice wrecked. Liana laughed softly. "You can barely move." "Don't care." Mara's hands found purpose, despite her exhaustion, sliding down Liana's body with intent. "Me too. Mara, you're hurt. Need to make you feel what I felt." Mara pulled back enough to meet her eyes. "Please, let me." The vulnerability in Liana's expression was answer enough. She nodded, and Mara shifted carefully, ignoring the protests of her ribs, focusing instead on Liana, on touching her the way she needed, on giving back what she'd been given. Liana's breath quickened under her touch, Her head fell back, silver hair spilling across the pillows. Mara watched her face, memorizing every expression, every soft sound, every sign that she was doing this right. It didn't take long. They'd always been good at this, at reading each other, at knowing what the other needed. Liana came apart beautifully. Mara's name on her lips, her body shaking with the force of it. They collapsed together afterward, tangled in each other in the sheets. Both breathing hard, both satisfied and exhausted. Mara's ribs screamed protest, but she didn't care. Nothing mattered except this Liana's weight against her, her warmth, the sound of her racing heartbeat slowly returning to normal. "I love you," Mara whispered into her hair. "I love you too." Liana pressed a kiss to her shoulder. So much. They stayed like that for a while, just holding each other, letting their breathing slow and the world come back into focus. Eventually Liana stirred, lifting her head to look at Mara with soft, satisfied eyes. "We should probably get you cleaned up," she murmured, "and fed. You need to eat. Build your strength back." "In a minute." "Mara, just one more minute." Mara tightened her arms around her. "I want to remember this." "Remember what?" This feeling. Right now. You and me and nothing else mattering." Mara kissed her forehead. "I don't want to forget what this feels like." Iana's breath hitched. "You won't have to. We have time now. All the time in the world. Promise." "Promise." Eventually they did get up. Liana helped Mara to the bathroom, steadying her when her legs proved uncooperative, laughing when Mara complained about feeling like an old woman. They showered together, Liana's hands gentle as she washed Mara's hair and helped her rinse off, careful around the bandages that had somehow stayed mostly intact. They dressed slowly. Liana had brought clothes, soft leggings, an oversized sweater that smelled like her. Mara put them on, breathing in the familiar scent, feeling like she was wrapping herself in safety. "Hungry?" Liana asked, brushing a strand of damp hair from Mara's face. "Starving." "Good." The kitchen staff prepared basically a feast. "I think grandmother felt guilty about almost getting you killed." "Did she say that?" "No, but there's like 5 different kinds of soup and enough rice to feed an army. That's as close to an apology as you'll get from her." They made their way slowly through the mansion, Liana supporting most of Mara's weight, Mara trying not to show how much every step hurt. Servants passed them, bowing respectfully. No more looks of disdain or dismissal. Now there was something else in their eyes. Respect, maybe, or fear. Mara wasn't sure which bothered her more. The kitchen was warm and smelled amazing. Liana settled Mara at a small table in the corner, then proceeded to pile a plate with enough food to feed 3 people. "I can't eat all that," Mara protested. "Try." Liana set the plate in front of her, then sat down with her own more reasonably sized portion. "Your body went through massive trauma yesterday. Transformation burns calories like crazy. You need to rebuild your strength." Mara picked up her chopsticks, tried a bite of soup. It was delicious, rich and savory, and exactly what her battered body needed. She ate slowly, savoring each bite, while Liana watched with satisfaction. "What?" Mara asked around a mouthful of rice. "Nothing." Just Liana smiled. "I'm glad you're okay. When Jen had you cornered, when you were bleeding, I thought..." Her voice caught. "I thought I was going to lose you. Again. For real this time. But you didn't." "But I didn't." Liana reached across the table, laced their fingers together. "And I'm not letting you out of my sight for the foreseeable future." "Clingy." "Damn right." Liana squeezed her hand. "You scared the hell out of me. I'm allowed to be clingy." They ate in comfortable silence, hands still linked across the table. Mara felt her strength, returning slowly, the food settling warm in her stomach, the pain receding to a manageable background noise. "What happens now?" she asked eventually. "Now?" Liana considered. "Now you heal, train with Master Liu, figure out what the hell you're becoming." She paused. "And we see where this goes. Us." "Where do you want it to go?" "Everywhere." Liana's smile was soft. "Anywhere, as long as we're together." Mara's chest tightened with emotion. "That sounds perfect." "Yay." Liana brought their joined hands to her lips, kissed Mara's knuckles gently. "It really does." They finished eating, and Liana insisted on taking Mara back to bed. Not the medical room this time, Liana's own room, with its massive bed and soft sheets and windows overlooking the gardens. "Stay with me?" Mara asked, though she already knew the answer. "Always." Liana climbed in beside her, pulling her close, mindful of injuries. "Sleep. I'll be here when you wake up." "Promise?" "Promise." Mara let her eyes drift shut. breathing in Liana's familiar scent, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Sleep pulled at her, heavy and insistent. But before she let it take her, she took a moment to really look at where they were. Liana's room was beautiful in a way that spoke of centuries of wealth and taste. High ceilings with exposed dark beams that probably predated most modern buildings. The walls were a soft cream color, decorated with scrolls of calligraphy ancient, Mara soon, probably worth more than her car. Traditional ink paintings hung in careful arrangement, depicting mountains and dragons and mist-shrouded landscapes. The bed they lay in was enormous, easily king-sized, maybe larger, with a carved wooden frame that looked handcrafted. The headboard featured an intricate dragon design, scales and claws rendered in meticulous detail. The sheets were silk, Mara realized. Actual silk, smooth and cool against her skin. The pillows were overstuffed, perfectly soft, the kind of luxury Mara had only ever seen in movies. Across from the bed stood a massive wardrobe of dark wood, its doors carved with more dragons, these ones in flight, wings spread, breathing what might have been fire or clouds. A vanity sat in one corner, its mirror framed in silver, its surface neat and organized with bottles and brushes that probably cost more than Mara's rent. The windows were floor to ceiling, covered now with sheer curtains that filtered the afternoon light into something soft and golden. Beyond them, Mara could see the manicured gardens, the stone paths winding between carefully arranged plants and water features. Everything outside was controlled, perfect, exactly as it should be. But here inside, tangled with Liana, in sheets that cost more than Mara made in a month, none of that mattered. The wealth, the history, the weight of centuries of tradition, it all faded into background noise. What mattered was Liana's arm around her waist, the way her breathing had already evened out, suggesting she'd fallen asleep first. The warmth of her body pressed against Mara's back, careful not to press on her injuries, but close enough that Mara could feel every breath. What mattered was that they were here, together. Finally, Mara's eyes drifted to a shelf near the window, lined with books. Some looked ancient, leather-bound, spines cracked with age. Others were modern, paperbacks and hardcovers mixed together without apparent order. Fiction and history, and what might have been clan records, all jumbled together in a way that suggested Liana actually read them rather than keeping them for show. On the nightstand beside the bed sat a single photograph in a simple frame. Mara couldn't see it clearly from this angle, but she thought it might be of them, her, and Liana, from before, from when things were simple and the biggest problem they faced was finding time to see each other between work and training. And Liana kept it, all this time, even after breaking up, even after a year of separation, and she kept the photo where she could see it every night before sleeping. The thought made Mara's chest tight with emotion. She snuggled deeper into Liana's embrace, ignoring the protest of her ribs, and let herself just exist in this moment. Safe, warm, loved. The afternoon light shifted, painting patterns across the floor. Somewhere in the mansion she could hear distant sounds, footsteps, voices, the normal activity of a place this size. But here in Liana's room, wrapped in silk sheets and old money and the arms of the woman she loved, everything was quiet, perfect. Mara's eyes grew heavy. Her body, exhausted from yesterday's fight and this morning's activities, demanded rest. She tried to fight it for a moment, wanting to stay present, to memorize every detail of this feeling, but sleep was insistent, and Liana was here, would be here when she woke up, she promised. Mara let herself drift, feeling safe for the first time in a year, and let the darkness take her gently into dreams. They slept through the rest of the afternoon and all through the night. At some point, Liana had gotten up carefully, so as not to wake Mara, and returned with water and pain medication, helping Mara take it before they both drifted back to sleep. The next morning came slowly, sunlight creeping through the sheer curtains, painting everything gold. Mara woke first this time, her body's internal clock insisting despite her exhaustion. She lay there for a while, just watching Liana sleep. Her silver hair was a mess, spread across the pillow in tangles. Her face was relaxed, peaceful in a way Mara hadn't seen in years. Young, vulnerable, beautiful. Mara's heart ached with how much she loved her. She was contemplating whether to wake Liana with kisses when a sharp knock echoed through the room. Liana jerked awake, instantly alert in that way clan members seemed to have. Her hand went to the nightstand, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there before she seemed to remember where she was, who she was with. Liana, Sabine's voice came through the door. Carefully neutral. Breakfast is ready. Grandmother requests your presence. Both of you. Mara's stomach sank. Of course. They couldn't just hide in here forever. Reality always came knocking. "We'll be there in 20 minutes, Iana called out, her voice surprisingly steady for someone who'd just been jolted awake. 15, Sabine corrected. Grandmother doesn't like to be kept waiting. Footsteps retreated down the hall. Iana turned to Mara, grimacing. "Welcome to life in the Dragon Clan. Privacy is a myth and family breakfast is mandatory." "Sounds fun," Mara said dryly. "It's not." Iana climbed out of bed, immediately moving into efficiency mode. "But we have to go. Grandmother doesn't make requests, she issues summons disguised as requests." She paused, looking at Mara with concern. "How are you feeling? Can you walk? I can tell them you need more rest." "I'm fine." Mara sat up carefully, testing her ribs. "They still hurt, but less than yesterday. I can do this. You don't have to prove anything else." "I know." Mara reached for her hand. "But I'm not hiding. Not from your family. Not anymore." Iana's expression softened. She leaned down, kissed Mara gently. "You're incredible, you know that. And tell me again later." "I will." Iana smiled. "Every day, if you want." "I want." They got dressed quickly, Iana pulling out fresh clothes for both of them from her wardrobe, moving with practiced efficiency. Mara's body protested every movement, but she gritted her teeth and pushed through. She'd survived the duel. She could survive breakfast with the Dragon Clan. Probably. Iana helped her with the bandages, checking the wounds, applying fresh dressing when needed. Her touch was gentle, clinical, but Mara could feel the tension in her shoulders. She was worried about Mara's injuries. Yes, but also about what this breakfast would bring. "What do you think she wants?" Mara asked, as Iana helped her into a soft sweater. Hard to say. Iana's expression was troubled. With grandmother, it could be anything. Maybe she wants to formally acknowledge your victory. Maybe she wants to discuss your training. Maybe... She stopped. Maybe what? Maybe she wants to set more tests. More hoops to jump through. Iana's jaw tightened. "She said you were adequate. That's not the same as accepted. The clan could still. Then we deal with it." Mara caught her face, made her look. "Together. Remember?" Iana's tension eased slightly. "Together." They finished dressing in silence. Iana pulled her silver hair into a neat bun, transforming from the soft, sleep-rumpled woman to the composed clan member in seconds. Mara watched the transformation with fascination and a touch of sadness. This was the mask Iana wore for her family, the armor she put on to survive in this place. But underneath, Mara knew, was the woman who'd held her last night, who whispered love against her skin, who'd chosen her despite everything. That was enough. "Ready?" Iana asked, offering her hand. Mara took it, lacing their fingers together. "Ready." They walked toward the door together, toward whatever breakfast and the Dragon Clan had waiting for them. Together. Whatever came next, they'd face it together, and that made all the difference.